talk about a question that I get all the time, which is how do new brokers build their credit so that carriers will actually haul their loads? So this is something that every new broker is going to run into. Every new business is going to run into. You have to establish credit, right? Everybody has no credit before they have bad credit. And it seems like everybody has bad credit before they have good credit. So we're going to try to streamline that for you. But before we do that, I'm going to have Elio give himself a quick introduction for people that have not listened to the first interview or don't know who he is. So give us a real quick interview or a little intro into you, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, hi guys. My name's Elio. I'm with Interfire Logistics, and we kind of launched our brokerage, went live in towards the end of February, and after attaining our first customer on February 26th, we were able to move 77 loads in the first 7 business days into March. So that kind of kicked off our experience as a freight broker. And since then, we've stayed pretty busy, and we've acquired several customers, but really consistently working with 3 now. And I can tell you, like in the last couple of months, not even full months, but more like 3.5 weeks, we moved 180 loads, and we're staying extremely busy with just 3 consistent customers. So that being said, I've kind of came across some of the same issues that everybody else is hitting with, carriers not wanting to use a new broker because you don't have enough credit. So I think that's what we're going to get into today.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. So here we go. So Elio, what was the challenge as a new broker? You literally just started your business, and you started having a conversation with the customer. He gave you some freight. But part of the challenge was what? What did you run into?
Getting carriers to work with a new freight broker with no credit history or experience, according to the FMCSA.
Right. So as a new broker, he had a brand new LLC, brand new company, brand new authority, brand new on the load boards. None of the factoring companies knew who he was. So what he decided to do was, roll up his sleeves, use a little bit of elbow grease, make some phone calls. And it went through a process, and we're going to have Elio just guide this process. He's going to give you step 1, step 2, step 3 that he did. And the goal here is for you to be able to garner a little bit of information from that you can then replicate, duplicate in your business to hopefully see similar results. So you started out with no credit, but after following this process, what happened to your credit score? I think as it's rated by truckstop.com, you went from no credit to
AB credit.
AB credit, which there's no carrier that's not going to call on your loads. Every carrier is going to call on your loads if you have AB credit. You have to know that. Now, if you have no credit, then that's a little bit different. So that's hurdle number 1. That's what he was able to attain. And then he went on and he's going to walk you through that process. So give us that step-by-step process, if you don't mind, Elio.
Yeah. So I have a load board agreement with truckstop.com. So I wanted to kind of learn more about what other services they offer. And I was coming across a lot of carriers that actually factor with Truckstop. So what I then did, asked them, hey, listen, how can I change my broker credit rating from an N for new status to a A? I was going for an A. And they said, listen, the best you can do is a B, but that's only if you give us 5 carriers that you've worked with in the last 12 months. And they're able to provide proof that they've worked with Interfire Logistics and how long it's taken Interfire to pay them for the load. Simple as that. So they have a specific form that they shared with me over email. It's a PDF. And then when I did, I literally just filled out the name of the carrier, the MC number, and the date that they moved a load for Interfire. Once I provided that information, I actually called all 5 carriers and said, look, here's the situation. This is going to happen. You're going to receive a phone call or an email from this person at truckstop.com to ask you these 2 questions. They said, yeah, I'm on board. No big deal. Once we followed up back and forth with Truckstop and the carriers to make sure they answered the phone calls and to make sure that Truckstop was making the phone calls, fast forward, let's just say, it took about 2 weeks. Truckstop.com changed our status on their system from an N to a B. That's the highest rating they can give a brand new broker, given this process of theirs, once you provide the 5 references for carriers. So we're now a B status within that factoring company.
Love it. So what you did was you went out, and I think step 1 was you got the shipper, they gave you the loads. some carriers were wanted to do business with you, but they were a little apprehensive. So
Right.
in the first stages, what did you do? Did you somehow paid them without the factoring company? You somehow paid them. What did you do with step one?
Yeah, exactly. So thanks. I felt that to leave that very important detail out. So we actually have a credit line separate from our business. So it's a personal credit line that I've had for a long time, and I use that to fund the loads. Okay. And then I waited for my shipper to pay me back, and then I kind of paid myself back for that specific load just to gain trust and start the relationship with that carrier, so they know that we're legitimate and we're going to be paying them as soon as they deliver the load based on the terms that we agreed on. So that could be 48-hour quick pay, that could be 5-day quick pay. You decide that, as long as that works out between you and the carrier.
So he used his own finances, he used his own credit and his own cash to pay the carriers initially so that he could get a testimonial, so that he could get a reference from the carrier saying that they did business with Interfire Logistics and he paid them in 24 or 48 hours or whatever amount of time it was. And then he went back to Truck Stop, right? And that's when you took those references and you submitted them to them?
I did. Yeah. Just they have a specific form that I shared on the boot camp Facebook group. And it's just a simple PDF. I mean, it's not very complicated at all. It's just the name of the carrier, their MC number, and when you use them. That's it.
And so you submitted 5 references and you went from not having a rating at all to having a B rating, which is the highest rating they can give a brand new broker.
Correct.
And from there, now just so you guys understand what that solves, the challenge that solves is that when you post your load as a new broker and carriers can see the Truck Stop credit rating that they assign you. And if they don't see a credit rating, sometimes some carriers are not going to call you on that load because they know that their factoring company may not do business with you, or maybe they don't want to take the risk of doing business with you because you're brand new. But if you have a B credit rating, right, or an A credit rating or a credit rating of some sort, all of a sudden that fear goes away and it goes way down. So now they're more likely to call on that load. Now, step 2 of this, beyond Truck Stop, was dealing more with actual factoring companies. Tell us a little bit about what you did there.
Yeah. So then what we had to do is obviously not every carrier we uses truckstop.com for a factoring company. So more consistently, we came across like 2 other 3 factoring companies, and we then decided to reach out to them and ask them to extend us a limited weekly credit line for that carrier. So I would say, hey, look, factoring company X, there's 3 carriers that we've been working with at this point, and we're paying them directly to do business with us. I see they factor with you. They're a customer of yours. Would you like to partner up and see if we can work together? And that way I can fund them through you versus me paying them directly. And that way you'll give yourself a chance to make some extra money on the side. And, some are open to that. Some are not. So it's no different from cold calling shippers, right? Now you're cold calling factoring companies to make sure they support you. So because of that, we now have 5 companies that we work with, factoring companies that we work with, that are totally unrelated to truckstop.com. And we're currently working to add our 6th one this week here based out of Houston. So
what you have to understand, guys, is every factoring company that Elio reached out to, right? Not all of them agreed to what he just said, but at least 5 of them did. Now, here's what this does for you. What you have to understand is if you have a factoring company, right, that's factoring invoices for carriers, they may have hundreds or even thousands of carriers that they do business with, okay, depending upon the size of the factoring company. So let's assume that any viable factoring company is going to have at least hundreds, okay, of companies that their carriers they're factoring for. All of a sudden, by getting set up with that factoring company and getting a profile set up and starting to create a history with them, that's going to open up not just the one carrier that he's doing business with now, but every other carrier that they do business with down the road, new or old. So as opposed to getting, credit set up with just one carrier, now you're getting credit set up and established and proven with a factoring company, which could open up hundreds, if not thousands of carriers to you. Okay. So it's a very good move. So first he went through Truck Stop and got his credit fixed there by submitting those 5 references, which we talked about. Second, he went to the factoring companies that those companies were doing business with and then established a relationship account with them. And so from there, what happened after that?
Yeah. So from there, even for those companies that would not want to work with us with a simple cold call from me, I actually would ask the carrier who actually liked working with us to speak to their contact at that factoring company on our behalf. So that's we found more success that way because they already have the relationship established with that bank. And because of that, to be honest with you, I mean, it's been a lot easier for us to kind of really move loads across the country now. So again, there's still carriers to this day. Last week, I had 2 carriers say, hey, we can't work with you because you have bad credit. They went as far as saying, we have bad credit. I'm like, hey, do you mind putting that in writing just so I can see where it's coming from? And, you know, it's another factoring company that's based out of Dallas that we can't get our foot in the door through. And they'll just say, listen, we're sorry, we have to wait at least 12 months. You have to be 12 months in business before we can consider you and run your credit. So it's not a perfect solution, but it's by far better than where we were 3 months ago.
But of course, you know, being the guy who never gives up, because that's how I know you so far, you know, and the steps you've taken to build your business, you went one step further with the carriers as a way to try to get those carriers that rejected you. You went and did, what did you ask them, those carriers that you were working with, to do for you? Did they put something together for you?
Yeah. So they would, are you talking about the feedback?
I'm talking about testimonial. Yeah. The testimonial.
Yeah. So then what they would do is I would ask them, and look, just do me a favor, you know, in exchange of me paying you 48 hours, you know, I'll even offer 24 hours if you can just, you don't mind providing feedback. Do whatever you want to put on there. I'll accept what you want to push on there, but just however you felt your experience was working with Interfire. And quite frankly, what that's done for us on the testimonials is now when a specific carrier, an independent owner operator, right, that says, hey, I can't work with you because I don't know you and blah, blah, blah. I'm then able to share with them other carrier testimonials. And I'll tell you what, that's carried so much weight for them to hear feedback from another, you know, peer of theirs, another carrier from a different part of the country saying X, Y, and Z about Interfire Logistics and how quick we pay and how good the service was and everything else. So that's, again, separate from the credit, that's helped me move loads because of the testimonials that we're asking our carriers to provide for us.
Yeah. So step by step, let's say I'm a carrier and Elio calls me to haul one of his loads and I see he's brand new and I'm concerned about the credit. But then all of a sudden, Elio sends me over 5 or 10 different carriers, testimonials of carriers that have already done business with him, telling how good I pay, telling how good the customer experience was, and telling how happy they are working with Elio and Interfire Logistics. And then all of a sudden he sends those 5 or 10 over to me. Do you think that's going to help the situation, having a new relationship with Elio? Of course it is. It's called social proof, right? There's this old saying that I learned a long time ago from an old mentor, Jeffrey Gitomer, and it goes like this. When you say it about yourself, it's bragging. But when other people say it about you, it's proof. And so that type of social proof is incredibly powerful. It's what makes the entire world go around online. You on Amazon every day, what do? You look at reviews, right? And the testimonial is just a review. And so all Elio did was use that same sort of strategy to try to alleviate the concerns of any new carrier that he wanted to do business with. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It's not a guarantee, but here's what we know. We know what's guaranteed. If you don't take some of these steps and you don't follow this type of a process for building your credit, it's going to take a long time for your credit to build up. It will build up over time, right? But this is a way you can expedite that process. You can fold time. You can turn a 6-month process into a 6 or 8 week process, right? Which is a huge, huge advantage. Okay. So I want to thank you, Elio, for coming on today. I know you're a busy guy. You've probably got a ton of things to do. If you are curious about becoming a freight broker or a freight agent, maybe you're on YouTube or maybe you're on Google and you're searching around to try to, gather some information on how to do it. Let me save you a whole bunch of time. Check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com. We have a 60-day, 100% money back guarantee. We have over 8,000 students that we've trained. We're well known to be the most cost-effective and comprehensive online training program. Check it out. Plus, we offer a 60-day, 100% money back guarantee. You can just go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com. You'll get all the details. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed that.